here we are, and I am absolutely thrilled, Mr. Delmar, to tell you that, wow, you have not lost one viewer. We still have 50 people waiting for your Q&A session. That is fantastic. Well,
there's so many lonely people out there.
Well, my two boys, I'll be honest with you, my two boys who are my techie guys, of course, I know nothing about technology. They just plonk me here and I've got to do the talking. I think I'm quite good at that bit because I can talk the hind leg of a donkey like yourself. But my boys have just said, Diane, you said he was great to listen to, and he is. So and they've listened to a few boys, those ones. We're absolutely thrilled tonight. Sean, I have a couple of questions there, and I see six. Let me see, is it six or seven questions here as well? So I'm going to start with the questions that have come into the chat box first of all, if you don't mind. Some of them may overlap these ones that have come through on email, but let's just start off. So first of all, from Mark Cushionhan, thank you, Mark, for joining us. I know you're a great enthusiast, and of course you're an absolute stalwart from Ireland here, and of course you've got one of your peers on screen tonight, and you want to ask more questions. So here we go. Hi, Sean. What do you think are the most important traits breeders should prioritise today to preserve the true temperament and working ability of the Kerry Blue Terrier without compromising their show ring appeal?
Yeah, I think probably hindquarters, I have to say. A lot of them are, once they have this nice kind of flashy movement and the trim is nice and they kind of have nice, good attitude, and they're inclined to forget about the hips. I think stronger ass.
Yeah.
A stronger ass. That's really what I would. A really kind of big Jean-Claude Van Damme ass.
Yep, that's lovely. Actually, I'm a learner myself. But
sorry, and one other thing too. Also, the foreface. I think in a lot of them, because of the beard and the presentation, a lot of the Kerries have lost foreface. And in all honesty, I think they'd suck a straw quicker than they could bite a badger.
That's nice, really nicely described. I love it. Yeah, Sean, as I said, I'm on a journey with Kerries, but of course I've been around them with Kathy for many, many years and seen many litters, and I tell you, the one thing she always drummed into me, and she has drummed it in, backside.
Yeah.
They have to have an ass and right across that croup and everything. And, I'm sad to see them when they're so over-exaggerated. It doesn't appeal to me at all because I see that weakness and that strength's not there anymore. So that's really lovely for you. It's like a nice wee rubber stamp in my mind. For what
it's all about Shakira. The hips don't lie.
Super. Brilliant. Okay, here we go. Anita Dugan is asking us, up to what age would the coat still be changing colour? Like if it hasn't started changing by the age 2.5, is it going to change?
This is kind of a mute subject, and I have known dogs that change very late. But for me, as a rule of thumb with a dog, and from a judging perspective, if a dog was 18 months, provided he was showing signs of colouring, he doesn't have to be coloured, but if he had that kind of brown hue coming into his coat, I'd be happy enough. But I think once they go two, if they're gone two and they're still soot black, it's not going to change. That's my experience, and it's a fault.
Okay. Margaret is asking, hi Sean, can you tell us about feet in the Kerry, please?
They should have 4.
Good one. Yes.
No, the pads should be quite rounded, and the feet, because of their origins in digging and ground, and they're very straightforward feet. They're not very arched, but at the same time they're not splayed. The pads should be quite tight, and nails black. once again, the nails are black. The pigment in general is should be dark and black. So discoloration in the nails would be a problem for me too. I would find that a problem. But the feet, there's nothing strange about them. Well cushioned pads. Simple. Nothing unusual.
Okay. So I have Linda from Canada, actually. And Linda is asking, hello, I'm in Canada and I'm being told by some breeders that kerries are becoming too big in North America. Is this something you would agree with? Obviously, Linda recognises that you have judged them all over the world, Sean. So how's your feelings on that question?
It's funny. I think they come in waves, and this has been my experience, and that's whether it's in USA or Ireland or anywhere else in Europe or UK. They come in waves. I think there comes a time where everyone's expecting kind of a smaller, tidier type of dog, and then 10 years later, because of one or two influential dogs, suddenly everyone wants something with that bit bigger. Some of the dogs in US, in North America in general, can be a little bit up to size, but believe you me, I'm not a big, I think you appreciated that already. I'm not a big one for deciding the quality of a dog on his size or his weight. Yes, it is important, of course. And if you're going back to the origin and the roots, yeah, they should have been not too big, because if it was, you'd have to get a JCB to excavate the badger to get them to get in. So, you know what I mean? You'd have to take that into consideration as well. But for a macho breed, in all honesty, I don't mind a little bit, particularly in dogs. Maybe in bitches I'd be a bit more fussy, but on the dogs I don't mind if they're a little bit up to size. I really don't, provided they have the other attributes. You know, that attitude, that domineering, and sometimes even that type of an attitude. A bigger dog usually looks more dominant anyway. You know, for what? But the question she asked, do I think they're getting too big? I think it's something they should watch. I don't think it's out of control at all, but I think it's something they should have a conversation about, and maybe their clubs should have a conversation about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers your question, Linda. We have another question here, and it was quite similar to one that came through on email, so I'll probably tie them in together, actually. But from Garahan, he wants to know, what do you think about sparring to decide on the outcome between two kerries? And can you spar 3 kerries, he wants to.
Okay, to be frank with you, I don't have a problem with sparring if it's done by people. The trouble with sparring is you have to know what you're doing. And if it's kind of two exhibitors that know what they're doing, from my point of view as a judge, yes. If I thought this dog, I want to see which dog is the bravest, I might say, which dog is the really more macho? Which dog really has that assuredness about him? And I would, and I have done it, ask them to turn into each other. So I just see, is there somebody going to back down? And they don't have to dive or fight, but I just want to see, will they stand their ground? Remember the comment I made about owns the ground he stands on?
Yes.
And that's, to do that, they don't have to be plunging or diving into each other. I don't mind that. Despite that lovely picture we had from the Dublin Blue Terrier, where they're obviously going a little bit over the top there. But I wouldn't have a problem with that. And yes, I would use that if I thought, I was wondering, is either of these dogs, is there any life in them? Because they're being bashed into standing the same way, in the same spot, 2 meters apart, head held up, tail held up, a little squeaky toy thrown in front of them. I have no time for that. Really, I don't have any time. It's back to the all-rounder thing of outline and movement, and that's all, nothing to do with type. So if you want to establish type in a Kerry Blue, really, they should be able to look at each other and stand up to each other and say, what did you say? I mean, there should be that element. Not diving, not plunging, not biting, not snarling or growling, but they should be well able to stand up to each other and say, I'm a Kerry Blue.
Okay, and keeping going with temperament, Sean, we have a question that has come in on an email, and that is about the standard saying, disqualifying false. It says in that, on one of your slides there, about aggressive dogs. Now, of course, that there's this little balance between sparring into one another, standing up for against one another. I'm like you. Look, I come from a very soft-natured breed, the total opposite to what we're looking at. However, as I said, I'm fortunate that I've got a very dear friend who has had Kerry Blues at high level as well. And of course, she has had it drummed into me, and I can't stand the look of the ones like yourself that want to play with a toy and do whatever. And yes, turn into each other. I want to see. So, how do you find that line?
Yeah, I think that
qualifying false with aggressive dogs.
I think that line means aggression for the sake of aggression. You know, this dog comes in just, I hate the world, and he's kind of uncomfortable with his own handler even, and he's causing trouble and all over the place. Like, you know, I would fault that. And there's uncontrolled aggression, unreasonable aggression that means nothing, that is just being angry for the sake of angry, and that type of aggression or anything. I would have no time for any Kerry Blue that tried to bite people. I really wouldn't, because I've seen that over the years, and I would have no time for that. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes if two dogs are fighting, and we've all had that in any breed, and you put your hand in, you can get bitten, and that's just a battle scar, for want of a better word. But as regards to that, no, I've no time for Kerry Blue. Kerry Blues will not bite people. They don't bite, they like people. And if you get one that bites people, don't keep it.
Okay. Now that's a wonderful question. Someone has sent it from their iPhone, which has no name on it, so I can't identify this person, but it's a wonderful question. I'm going to hit you with it in a second. So let's do a much softer question first.
Okay. It's not Clarendon Street Cat, is it?
Oh, dear. So, Sean, this next question again has come in on an email. Sean, how do you feel about these woolly coats that are becoming quite endemic in the breed? Of course, you've been very straightforward to us all tonight about the lovely silky wavy coats and waves and curls and la. But we all have seen them 1,000 times at shows, winning here, winning there. You know, I know what I feel about my own breed with the wrong coat. How do you feel about this woolly type coat texture that's coming through?
Yeah, and listen, I know what the thought process is behind it most of the time. I draw you a comparison. This may sound silly. Bichon Frise. Standard on Bichon Frise says corkscrew curly coat. And the breeders and exhibitors spend the whole day trying to brush out those corkscrew curls, so they can get a really sexy trim and a nice line angle and a short back in the dog. And I think the same applies for the Kerry Blues. The original soft, wavy coat, as I mentioned earlier on, is very difficult to shape and to put that shape in. So I'm not saying it's meant or it's intended, but certainly the heavier, woollier coats are much easier to put a shape on. You can more or less sculpture the dog into any shape that you want. So yeah, it's a fault. I would not like it if I had a dog with a better coat. Certainly it would beat it every time. But listen, we all have to deal with, as a breeder, as an exhibitor, and as a judge, you can only deal with what's in front of you. So ideally, you know what the type I'd like and what I'd ultimately like. But as regards to that, you can only deal with what you have.
Sean, I want to ask you this question, and it's not from anyone else, and I'm just genuinely interested, and I know we have a number of people from our own country here that might be interested as well. You've said earlier on at the very start of your presentation tonight about the Michael Collins Trophy, that it's still around and it's available to be seen. I've never seen that myself, and how does one go about seeing such a valuable trophy? You know, I'm a dog show person. I've been around a long time, and of course you've said about the history of dog showing in Ireland is very so connected with the Dublin Kerry Blue Club. So therefore, where do we get to see such an iconic trophy, and how can that be seen? Do we have to go to the kennel club to see it, or can it be brought to shows, or is there any opportunity for such an experience for people?
Well, first of all, how it came about, it was donated to the Dublin Irish Blue Terrier Club, of which Michael Collins was a member. So it's their property. Now, the Dublin Blue was hoping that the Irish Kennel Club would have a library or a museum or whatever there, but they don't. So that would have been the ideal place for it, and maybe take it out for a breed show once a year, something like that. So in the meantime, as an alternative, we're at the moment talking to the graveyard in Glasnevin, where Michael Collins is actually buried.
Yes.
And they have a section in theirs where they feature on Michael Collins. So we're talking with them at the moment, and it's our intention to probably give it to them and take it out once a year, borrow it once a year for the dog show, just because you're right, it should be, everyone should have the opportunity to see it. But failing that, the Dublin Irish Blue Terrier Club breed show every year, and if you check the IKC calendar, is held in conjunction with the Irish Breed Society. And we actually held it in the Phoenix Park, and Farmley has up the Phoenix Park, a lovely traditional area, which is actually right opposite Captain Wyndham Quinn's old address in the Phoenix Park.
Yeah.
So it would be ironic that we have that on display there, and that we have it at that show each year when we run our show in September. But listen, anyone who's interested in it, if they keep an eye on the Dublin Irish Blue Terrier Club Facebook page, we kind of update on that, because following on to that, I will have that conversation, and we'll see if we can maybe make it more available. Yeah,
I think it's a wonderful thing that our country has, and I would say 90%. Of course, I'm in native breeds myself. I know that it is available at that show, but most other people don't get that opportunity. And I think if you really love your dog showing, I think our history is just fantastic, and to be able to see it for real would be something special.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, watch out that Facebook page for update on that.
Great. Sean, this great question. My goodness, I'm going to leave you on a really good one. My goodness, here we go. So from person called iPhone, I don't know what your name is. I wish you could identify yourself. Please do. What does Sean think of the state of the breed today compared to, say, 24 years ago? That's why I left it to the end. Very naughty.
I won't dodge that question. I think it was better 24 years ago. Mm-hmm. I genuinely think it was better for 24 years. There was, first of all, bigger numbers, much bigger numbers, and with numbers comes your better chance of quality dogs. So, I mean, if you get, for instance, now, particularly in UK and in Ireland, but even the numbers have really gone down. So if you're to go to the challenge class in any show in UK there, I mean, how many quality Kerry Blues are you going to see in that lineup? How many dogs are you going to see in the lineup? Very few, 2, 3. Whereas back in the day, that years ago that they were talking about, you'd have a lineup there maybe in the open dog or open bitch class of 13 dogs, and chances are half of them would be really quality dogs up to a really high level. So I have to say, no, I don't think they've improved. I definitely don't. No.
Well, that's a bit of a sad state of affairs, but what it actually does mean, we have people on tonight. We have Mark Cushnan, a young man, his dog show career ahead of him, and a few others like him. Maybe what Sean has said tonight has given you a lot of enthusiasm, and has given you drive to say, do you know what, let's put the oomph back in Ireland and back in our country and what's close to us here. Of course, Sean has spoken about Russia. I always have a little saying, the Russians are coming. Well, they always were, and then Ukraine stopped them. But as breeders, and I know, Sean, you've judged all around the world in many breeds, yes, the Russians are coming. They really are strong in so many breeds, and certainly you've reiterated that with your 94 Kerry Blues at one show. That must have been an awesome sight.
But even on top of that, Kathy actually judged the Airedale breed show, and they had 78.
Wow.
On the same venue. Can you imagine that? I mean, Valhalla for terrier people.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just been told that the iPhone person is Paul Martin. Thank you, Paul. So he says he totally agrees with you. So this is sadly the case for several breeds. Thanks. This is a great seminar. Thanks so much, Linda says, and Lena also said thank you very much for a very informative seminar. We have a number of comments thanking you, Sean, for giving up your time. I've really enjoyed it. I know that all our speakers, Anita Dugan, very informative. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sean. Very informative. Lots and lots of lovely comments there, Sean. Thank you so much for giving up your time for us this evening. And I know so many people, Ruth Byers thoroughly enjoyed tonight, and Sean's one-liners will definitely stick with me when I now look at the Kerry Blue. Now that's great. Niamh Callahan, love this, thank you. Hugh Jordan, thank you, Sean, and everyone. Thank you for a nice evening. Thank you so much. Excellent presentation, very informative. To a newbie to the Kerry Blue world, that's from Ailish Bradley. Louisa Casey, wonderful evening. Thank you to Portadown and to Sean. Sean, we've loved it. I told them it was going to be great, and you have not let me down. Thank you so much.
I'd just like to thank you for the invitation to do it, and yes, I enjoyed it. I mean, what do we all want to do? We want to talk about what we're passionate about and what we believe in. And I hope that people understand and don't get too offended, because these are my opinions, and they come from the heart as well as from tradition. So there we go.
And what a fantastic combination. Do you know something? It is absolutely a breath of fresh air for me personally, and I know from our speakers. We still have 51 people here listening to these last comments, Sean, but to have someone who has been so involved in the breed for such a long time, giving us all these little snippets, I think that's absolutely so valuable to everybody, and I know people are taking it away. And those who didn't come tonight, well, you know what? You missed out. Thank you, Sean.
One quick thing, if I can say to people about the whole, I think it's very important, type, really. I can't stress that enough, type, because you lose type, you lose the breed. They may be good animals, they may be nice dogs, they may be great performers, they may be big winners, but if they're not type, you're losing the breed. And you go into the Labradoodle area there, where the dogs become generic all the time. And we'll end up with Magnolia Terriers, right? So, type. Try and establish type. Get an attitude towards type. Breed it, judge it, show it.
Yeah, well, Sean, look, I can tell you, you have hammered your points home to us tonight, and if we can't know what's right in a Kerry Blue by now, we're never going to know it. Sean, I've loved it. I know my audience have loved it. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Our next seminar, or webinar rather, is in December, and we have Frank Kane on that one, and Frank will be talking about all things retriever. So I think we're going to be touching on all the retrieving breeds there. It's going to be a great educational evening, so please join us for that. And thank you, everybody, very much for joining us from Portadown. And Sean, we've loved having you, and see you all again sometime soon. Thank you.
Night.
Take care, everyone. Good night.